Hello, and welcome to Your Vote Counts, a public service program for the May 19th primary election that is being produced by Capital Community Media, a multimedia center that provides local content, education, and a platform for diverse community voices in the greater Salem area, and by the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk counties, a nonpartisan political organization advocating for voting rights, government transparency, and public election education. All the candidates for the positions of states, Senate and House districts, Polk County Commissioners, Salem Mayor, and Salem City Councilors were invited, and we will be hearing from one of our candidates for Salem City Councilor Ward 2 in our interview. Candidates were asked to prepare a 2-minute opening statement telling about themselves, their qualifications, and why they chose to run for the office, as well as a 2-minute closing statement. I'm Toma Cadu, your moderator from the League of Women Voters, and I'd like to introduce candidate Manny Ramirez to share your opening remarks.
Well, thank you. Manny Martinez.
Oh.
No worries. I've got Manny Ramirez is one of the most common.
I don't know why I thought
That's okay. That's a famous name too. He was a famous baseball player, so I get Manny
That's
Ramirez
probably
a lot.
in its baseball season.
No worries. So my name is Manny Martinez. I'm a candidate for Salem City Council Ward 2. I'm a small business owner and an educator. I teach at a local private school and at a local university. I teach guitar at all of these at the school and in my private business. I graduated from Berklee College of Music in 2006 with a bachelor's degree in music. I'm also a recovering alcoholic with about 7 years of sobriety coming up on April 27th. That's a big inspiration as to why I decided to run for office. We have a homelessness emergency in Salem. Addiction is a huge part of that. I recognize that it's not the only part of it. There's a lot of different reasons that people find themselves out on the street and in crisis. The addiction side of things is very important. I feel it's not being addressed properly and with the urgency that it needs to be addressed, and that is the main driving factor of my campaign, and that's what inspired me to run.
Well, thank you for sharing that information with us. The questions for our candidate today were developed in collaboration with the American Association of University Women and League members. Candidates did not receive the questions ahead of this interview. The candidates' responses to the individual questions will not be timed. Now let's give candidate Martinez an opportunity to address questions of concern and interest to our community. Our first question is, what is in the works for Salem's infrastructure, and what are the priorities?
Well, I was just reading something about a big project that is happening in the riverfront to do a new playground, and I believe that there's a lot of new playgrounds that are going to be built in the local parks. And I know that there's constantly work being done in the roads and in the sidewalks, and that's all obviously very important. My main focus is on making sure that the homelessness emergency is solved so that we can focus in on things like fixing the roads and the sidewalks and being able to have the most beautiful parks that we possibly can. But specifically, was there something else on that question?
No.
Yeah.
Many residents may not understand the duties of council members. Why should they be interested in this race?
Well, the duties of the council are to provide safety more so than anything else to the people of Salem. We need to make sure that the city of Salem is a safe place to be, that we have economic prosperity. The point of the Salem City Council is to do the business of the city of Salem and to be focused on the city of Salem. I think a lot of times we get kind of sidetracked into having a lot of national kind of conversations when it comes to Salem City Council. I think it's really important for us to be able to prioritize the the business of the city when it comes to Salem City Council, which is why I say when it comes to, for example, solving the homelessness crisis, I say I want to help to solve the homelessness crisis in Salem. Okay, and it's going to be different than what we see in Portland or in Texas or Salt Lake City or in other places. But when we start to venture out of what we can do in Salem and start to get focused on national issues, we start to take our eye off the ball, and a lot of time gets utilized in city council in things that are not in our control. So I think it's really important for people to understand that the city council, Salem City Council, is supposed to be focused on helping the city of Salem be as safe and prosperous as it can possibly be.
Thank you for that. Several team project areas have been developed to address areas of concern. Tell us which one interests you most.
I suppose that the REACH team would be one of those teams. Would that be correct?
I assume so.
Yeah, so the REACH team is a great addition to our city. They help to address people who are having mental health crisis out on our streets. And it's something that our police and our firefighters really wanted. And we have finally implemented that, and it looks like we're already having some good results, and it helps to address the biggest problem that we have in Salem, which is the crisis we have with the homelessness emergency and people suffering from severe mental health issues. So I think the REACH team is a good example of something that the city got right, and I fully support that and hope it gets permanent funding.
What economic pressures are exerted on Salem due to the presence of state government and Willamette University?
Well, from what I understand, the state government doesn't really pay its fair share of taxes when it comes to the way that they utilize our city. I would like to see them have to pay more into the tax base to be able to help with all of the issues that we have here as a city. I mean, they have a lot of employees here working in our city that could perhaps be chipping in a little bit more to help with our tax base.
And any comment about Willamette University's presence?
I would have to look into that more.
Okay. Do you support the use of general funds to provide revenue guarantee for passenger air service at the airport? And why or why not?
The airport is a tricky question. Overall, I like the idea of being able to bring commercial airlines into the airport. That airport is just kind of sitting there, and there's a lot of opportunity there for it to be developed. And when Avelo was here, a lot of people were using that airline and enjoying it. Even a lot of the people that went on to protest Avelo and kind of turned against it. But I can see a situation where we could have an even better airline with more destinations, and it would be good for everyone. I remember hearing a leader in the Hispanic community talking about how a lot of the people in the Hispanic community really liked the ability to be able to go to places like California to visit family at a pretty reasonably low price. There was a lot of different reasons that people liked having the airline there. So yes, in general, I would be in support of using general funds, but it would need to be prioritized properly. And I want to make sure that we prioritize the homelessness emergency and we get this solved, and then we can start to look at things like bringing back commercial airlines. But it wouldn't be my first priority, but I could see it for our future for sure.
Thank you for that. What do you know about the current tree preservation and tree canopy codes? And do you have any comments about their effectiveness in maintaining and enhancing the benefit of trees to climate resilience and community safety?
I can't honestly say that I'm super well informed on that, but what I can say, just when it comes to the environment in general, when I hear a priority on, say, the tree ordinance, and at the same time, you look at Wallace Marine Park, and there's anywhere from 170 to 300 people suffering in that park. There's like 1 million pounds of trash in there. It's going into the water. It's an environmental disaster. And I hardly hear anything from the environmentalists about that. So I'm a big fan of preserving the environment and doing everything we can to keep our natural spaces as clean, as beautiful as possible. But at the same time, for anyone that claims to be a champion of the environment, like, where are you on Wallace Marine Park? Like, why aren't you screaming from the rooftops when it comes to that particular issue? Because that entire park is suffering not only on a human and moral level, but also an environmental level. So again, that brings me back to the issue of keeping our priorities in order.
Do you support providing financial incentives to encourage more home building? And if so, under what conditions?
I do want to help for more building to happen. So from what I understand, there's a lot of regulations and zoning restrictions and also environmental restrictions that keep people from being able to build at the capacity that we could. I recently even saw a podcast where Jimmy Jones from the Community Action Agency was talking about the kind of environmental restrictions that he faces trying to build more shelter space. So it's not a left or right versus issue. There's people from all different kind of political spectrums that are trying to do more building that find it very, very difficult to be able to do it here in Salem. And I think that we need to be able to relax the regulations and the permitting process to be able to make it easier, because we need more housing of all kinds. So we need to make it easier to build.
Thank you for that. And for our last question today, what makes Ward 2 stand out from all the other wards?
Well, Bush Park is particularly beautiful. I walk around in Bush Park all of the time, and that is just a wonderful, wonderful area, one of the best parks in Salem. So that really stands out. And it also is a very diverse place. I've been out door knocking, and there's just all kinds of people from all different walks of life, all kinds of different income levels too. There's a lot of very wealthy parts of Ward 2, and there's also underdeveloped parts of Ward 2, like where I live, over by the hospital in an area generally called Felony Flats, and that's my neighborhood. Those are my people, and we have some real struggles in that part of town. And we need some love in Felony Flats, and we have a lot of issues of illegal camping happening there, and it needs to be addressed. We've got to get real about that issue. But I love Ward 2. You have a little bit of everything there, and I think to me, the highlight of it is Bush Park. I really love that park.
Thank you for sharing all your information today. And I now invite you, candidate Martinez, to make your closing statement.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always fascinating to have these conversations. I don't really know a whole lot about your organization, and I really appreciate the polite, cordial interview. And I'm really making an appeal to the people of Salem to please, we have to get past the left versus right divide when it comes to everything that we deal with in this city, but especially when it comes to the homelessness emergency. This is not a left versus right issue. We have people who are suffering on our streets. We need to do something. We need to take bold action in order to solve this problem so our city can be allowed to thrive and reach its full potential. My goal in City Council would be to prioritize building new shelter space. They could be building new shelter. It could be repurposing existing structures into new shelter. I also think that we should have one managed camping site per ward so that we can help the people that are out on the street unsheltered move into one of these managed camps so that we would have easier access to them to be able to connect them to services. But we also have to be real about the fact that there's going to need to be a law enforcement element for people that just refuse to cooperate with any services that are offered. That is not to say that I would ever support criminalizing homelessness. That's an untrue narrative that is always put out there, and it's like we're not going to be able to solve this problem unless we have honest conversation. So I want to have law enforcement be really the last resort to be able to handle this issue. But I think that the majority of people out on the street will be able to receive the help once they're connected through a managed camping site or through shelter space. But we need to have an honest conversation about how to deal with this, and it's not going to work if we turn it into a left versus right issue.
Thank you, Candidate Manny Martinez, for sharing your thoughts today and having this interview. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you to Capital Community Media for their production and technology skills, to the community groups who helped develop the topics for today's questions, and to you, the viewer, for watching in order to become an informed voter. You have until April 28th to register to vote or to make any changes in your registration. Look for your ballots beginning on April 29th. Vote, and vote early, particularly if you're planning to vote by mail. If you want more information on national, state, or local voter election information, you can find it at vote411.org. Elections matter. Remember to vote because your vote counts.